Today I wanted to talk about just getting a little bit deeper with the people that you work with, because I think it's super important. And I wanted to start off with a subject that is actually pretty deep, but anyways, you'll see where I'm going with it. My father died from cancer when I was a teenager, and I have to tell you, hardest thing ever, right? My mom didn't even tell us that he had cancer. And at that time, she was going through a lot. I mean, about a year before she found out he had cancer, and by the way, she never told us because she didn't want us to know that he was going to die. I mean, that's just a mother's protection, right, of their children. I get it now. I get it now. But anyways, she had to keep going to work because she had to take on, all of the responsibility and all of the finance responsibility that my dad would assist her with. Now, granted, at this time, it's not like my dad had 401k or anything like that, guys. He was earning $7.75 an hour. So I'm sure it was a huge burden on her. She had 3 kids to take care of. At the time, my brother had just gotten somebody pregnant. Joey, my nephew, was living with us along with his mama. Hi, Teresa. What's up? And we had just moved out of a house that had gotten flooded, and the house wasn't even ours. It was an old house, but it was big enough to host all of us, but we couldn't stay there because the water was going in through the paper thin walls. And during one of these big rains, it started messing up the floor, and we were gonna get sick if we stayed there, even sicker. Imagine being with a sick father. There was no way we could stay there. So we left a very comfortable environment. Yes, although the house was flooding, it was a comfortable environment because the external surroundings had our support group. It had our neighbors that we have known since, we were babies. It had aunts, uncles, all of that good stuff. And it had the environment that my dad knew. And I wish I was older, back then, because I would have done whatever it took to keep us in the same environment, especially as my dad passed. But anyways, remember, my mom didn't tell us he was going to pass. And at this point now, my mom had to move us out of that house. And, when you're a teenager, it's hard to kind of grasp what's going to happen and what situations are. So we ended up moving about 10 miles from our house. We did move to an area that, there was some relatives, but it was definitely foreign to us. And now we were forced to, all of those people I just mentioned, we were crowding into 2 bedrooms. And the living room was my dad's room, essentially. So it was an open room, my dad. And day by day by day, he started getting worse and worse and worse. Now, my dad was bigger than life. Like, he was the guy dancing, at all the parties. He would ask all the older people to dance with him. He would bring all the candies to all the children. I mean, he was full of life and full of joy. And this man that was bigger than life started getting smaller and smaller and smaller as this cancer started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The amount of pills he was taking kept growing. The size of these pills was growing. It was awful to see. And on top of it, my mom has to deal with a bunch of teenagers in the house. Yeah, you can just imagine my mom, what she was going through. Well, at some point, we ended up, my dad ended up in a hospice situation. Hospice, which I didn't know was where, terminally ill patients go. I mean, they don't teach you hospice in school, right? So like nothing, one day we were visiting my dad in hospice, and somebody asked us, what are you kids doing here? It's like me and my brother, cousin or something. What are you kids doing? I'm like, I'm visiting my dad. And by the way, we were in this floor that he was room number 3. I remember that clearly. And there was a waiting room there. And I mean, we took over this hospice floor like for a month. That's how long it took my father to die. But we would sleep there when we could. Our relatives always came. I mean, that hospice floor was like I know it's kind of sad to say this, but it was definitely like a party family gathering area, because my dad was very well liked. My dad was very well liked, and he had a lot of friends, and they all came to visit him. And but it didn't really hit us the extent of, wow, these are the last few days we might have with our father. And I'm sure there's people that have been in hospice that have made it out, but my dad did not. I'm looking at the clock right now, 444. I think that's an angel number. I don't know. That's pretty cool. Anyways, we told these people that we were visiting my father in hospice, and immediately their face changed. Like they knew these kids are about to probably lose their father, and they uncomfortably walked away. Now, the reason I bring all of this up is because we don't know what situation. My mom had to kind of keep going to work, kind of keep being normal, right? Even though she was dealing with all of this crazy stuff behind the scenes, the teenage, my nephew and his teenage mama, my brother's situations, his teenagers, me. She had to keep providing to work. She had to keep paying bills. We had just moved out of a house that was flooding. Anyways, I'm just overwhelmed just thinking about it. But imagine nowadays, guys, that we have to work from home. Some of us, right? I know not everybody, but the people who are dealing with so much stuff from their house. Now, in this particular case, imagine if I had to be working from that 2-bedroom. And I know there's people right now that are working out of their homes, and they've got kids running around. They've got a sick parent. They themselves might be feeling depressed or have anxiety. And then they have to go to a meeting and present, or they have to be in a meeting and be present. And, their kid is tugging on their pants or whatever it is. Let's be empathetic. We don't know what those people are going through. We don't know that they're just dealing with, somebody who's sick, somebody who is anxious, somebody who has depression. We don't know if they themselves, that day was like the worst day they could possibly go through. And you might be the best thing that's happened to them that day. So I really want to say this week at work, I really appreciated this amazing leader. And if she listens to this, she'll know who I'm talking about. She started off the meeting with just a little bit of personal stuff. How's everybody doing? That was it. How's everybody doing? Oh my God, it's kind of crazy here. Like, just very real personal stuff. Didn't have to get too deep, but it was very refreshing, guys. It was so refreshing. Yes, we have to do work, but man, it's a different time we're living in. And let's not forget, we're all human. We're all human. We're not robots. So, and I have to tell you, if we do this a little bit more, people are going to like being at work more. I mean, and dealing with you more. So, and by the way, if you're dealing with something and you really want to talk, I mean, I'm no therapist or anything like that, but I got 20 minutes here and there. So it might be before work, after work, whatever. So just ping me. But connect with Martha at gmail.com or link me in or whatever. So anyways, the bottom line was, I just want to say that be nice. Just be nice. Be conscious that people might be going through other things. If you're a teacher, I mean, know that the kids might be going through a living situation that maybe isn't ideal. If you're working with people who are working from home, I mean, we don't know that there's 5 kids in the house. We don't know that, after this meeting, they have to go make, the person you're talking to might have to make sandwiches and take their kids to work and wash clothes and maybe deal with a sick, parent. We don't know. And by all means, if you ask, hey, if anybody needs something, I'm here at work, just open up the door. We would have done it anyways. We would have done it anyways at work, right? Hey, let's go out to lunch. Let's go grab a cup of coffee. And, by default, we try to get one layer deeper, because you might be the best thing that's happening to those people this day.